Okay, ready?
Go.
This is a patient that's going to have an overdenture. We're basically going to trim all of these teeth off at the gum line. We're going to trim them down about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way, and then we're going to trim them back just a little bit from the front so that it creates room for the denture to fit. So we've trimmed this tooth right here, which is the same as that one right there. The others have already been trimmed. So we've trimmed this one down, and there's a little bit of an area right there where it's been folded back, so there's room for the tooth to be adjusted. Next, we took the regular denture tooth and we came in from the back of the tooth and trimmed away all of the buildup that was right here, bringing it so that it's basically a thin veneer. We only trimmed from the back. We don't trim to shorten it, we just trimmed from the back. Then we put wax right onto here, so we have something for the tooth to hang on to. Then we're going to set it right in place right there. Now with it about where we want it to go, we're going to hold it with this thumb right here so that it's pretty close, and we might put a little bit of a twist on it.
I had a twist there. I was holding it.
We'll take some wax right here, put that right into place, and then we're going to tease it out so that it lines up with the other teeth. Now if you look right over the top of it, it kind of forms the arch. We might need to touch it in just a little bit. Yes, so it's a little bit more like that. And then we're going to take just a little bit of wax right along here. We'll come right over the edge and right along the back. Come right in here, trim that. Now we've got the wax is holding the tooth right in place. And we've set it up so that we've got a smile lines about where we want it to be. Now as we look at it, this one looks pretty close. This one might go up just a hair. This one's just a tad tipped lingually, just a little bit. So we just bring it over just a hair. And we'll soften the wax, maybe bring it down just a squidge so that we have the smile line that we want. Now if you look at it, this one over here is actually still probably just a hair too long. This one has a curve that goes up. The smile follows the line going up. We might go just a squidge more, but just a tad. Now this side, I'm going to just soften the wax just a little bit. Come along the back of it, just warm it up. And then I'm going to just push it down just a little bit so it's not too long. Now that's close. Bring it where we want. Add a touch more wax on the back of it so that it has something to grab onto. And then we're going to twist it ever so slightly to follow the arch around. There, now if you look at it, we've got a curve that's going around this way. This one's close. We have maybe just a touch where it's going out this direction. So I'm going to warm that up just a bit. And then we'll just tip it. There. Now that's giving us our turn coming around. We're probably just a squidge short right there. So we'll just tease it up just a hair. And then we're going to take this right here, soften it just a bit. And now we've set it so that we have pretty much a smile line. This one right here looks like it's just a hair longer. So we'll soften the wax just slightly. And then just tease it down just a little bit. Okay, and so that makes our front two teeth at one height. Then we step down about a half a millimeter or so as we go to the lateral on both sides. And then this will come up to about the same height as these guys are. Or maybe just touch them in just a In an ideal world, we want this smile line to go from here, here, back to that molar, and it's actually in her mouth will give kind of a smile line to the denture. So now that we've got these reasonably well set, we just put some wax right around it. Make sure we've got something to grab onto. And then we'll come a little bit behind here, make sure we have something to grab onto there. Okay, now we can see this guy's still long. We still have to trim him off, so we're going to come over here. Pause. Okay, so now we're going to trim this tooth right here down. Now we're going to guess about where it's going to end up. And if we're off and it's a little bit high, that's fine. We just fill it in with acrylic later. If it's a little bit low, we can also grind things back or add acrylic. So this isn't real critical. But what we're doing now is we're just rounding these edges. Now we'll come back and we'll grab our bicuspid. So we'll start with this bicuspid right here. And if we try and set this right there, it's going to be really high because it's too bulky back here. See, it's just, there's nothing to work. So we're going to come back, hold the tooth just like this, and then we're going to come in and trim away the extra part of the tooth structure that will run into what we're doing. I'm going to add some light so it's easier to see. Now, as I'm working on this, notice how this right here is really thick. So what we're going to do is just slowly thin it out like a veneer. And this is what we've done on all of the other teeth too. We just thin them out just like they're a veneer. And if you're holding onto the tooth just right, you can actually create your veneer, thin it out. So here's our profile. We still have it fairly thick there. We want to thin it a little bit more. Now that looks a little bit more narrow right here, and we've cut it up here so that there's a way to
So let's see it.
fit over the tooth. So now we're going to come over to here and look and see how it fits. As you look at it from the side, we can see it's sticking up just a little bit too high, isn't it? It's close from this profile, but it needs to come in just a little bit more. So we're going to take and cut a little bit more in that direction and a little bit more up this direction to give it room. So first thing we're doing is giving it, this allows us to bring the tooth further down. That's the fun part, catching these when they pop loose out of your hands. Now you can see we've created a little bit higher profile. Come back. Now we've got the tooth, or the wax is just a little bit thick right here. So we'll just soften it, get it nice and runny. Then we'll set this right over the top of this and back far enough. Then we're going to take this and tease it ever so slightly so that the line angle, see how this tooth has just kind of a, it has an angle. This one's more straight up and down. That one's like that. This one here has a little bit of an angle. And this one right here tips like this. And we need it to be more like that. So we're going to come back in, soften our wax, and we're going to change the angle. Once we've got it fairly close, let's see, are we just a little bit high? We're still just a little bit high, aren't we? So let's come back in, and we're going to thin this part here just a little bit, and we're going to move a little bit more right here. Okay, it's fairly thin. Did we lose it? Alright, so here we're going to take a little bit more and then we want to see how thick it's right, how thick it is right there. So we're going to just take it how much thinner that became. Slide it right into place and adjust our angles. And that's close. We have a little bit of a void right there, and if we need to, we can always fill that in with some white acrylic later. Right now, our goal is to get the teeth where we want them. Fill the holes so that it locks everything into place. And then we'll come around from behind and add some wax right along here.
There's a little hole in the front too.
A void in the denture. When it processes, we'll just fix that. So when it got poured, there was a little bubble there, and we'll just work around that. It's a nice thing about acrylic, it fixes all kinds of problems. Okay. And that's got it fairly close. We'll continue setting the rest of the teeth further all the way back. Then we're going to come in, trim this guy off at the gum line, and set him also. And then once we've got this set fairly close to where we want it, then we'll double check and see how the occlusion is on the teeth. But we want to start with as much of an ideal setup as we can and then work from there as we need to.